Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the boys single event, Ward 1. We're back in the 16th competition in one row, moving 4 lanes right, 4 lanes left. You'll have 10 minutes practice. practicing boys. First block in the boys single event. Semi-finals and finals tomorrow, late afternoon. We are still waiting for a few racks before we can start. You ready? Good luck to you.
Vi er It's Marcus Bergendorf here. Welcome to the first squad of the boys singles event. We got some really good ballers here today, so I'm really looking forward to commentating this squad and the next boys squad 2, which starts at 1:15. Back on again. So this is the first singles event, and as I said before, we got some really good and talented ballers here. So I'm just going to do a quick review of the all event, which ballers you should look out for and which actually have a chance to win. So on lane 1 and 2, we got the Danish team, which is the home country, and we got Mathias Angerdal and Andreas playing, and Mathias is currently in the 5th spot with about 60 pins up to win the all event, so he actually got a decent shot of winning it. Andreas is 15, which means that he has to stay in top 24 to make the Masters. So both of those two players you should definitely look out for. And a team I think personally is really good is the Finnish team, with Puri Piharinen and Jesse, and they are in lane 13 and 14. And if we take the standings of the all event, Puri is 10th with about 100 pins up to the 1st spot. And Jesse had a really good doubles event. That was the 2 guys that won the doubles. And Jesse yesterday had a not so good score. He was at around 1080, 1050. And I really think you should look out for those 2 guys. And I think they got a chance of going long in this singles event. Hello again, I'm back on now. So I just made a post on Facebook. Make sure to tune in on this live stream and feel free to ask me questions. Maybe come with a couple of comments on who you think is going to do good today, who are you looking out for, and which bowlers and what score do you think they will make? Is it going to be a high scoring squad, or do you think it's going to be a little more low scoring? My opinion on this is that I think that the top 4 score for the singles event would be around 1410 pins. That's my estimate, and I know it sounds really tough and really high, or a lot of pins, but I think that we will see a lot of bowlers that struggle on this, and then we will see a couple of bowlers or 4 bowlers that's going to do a really decent score. So now we are almost done with the first game. We're in about the 9th frame on the most pairs. So let me just do a quick look. Puri Paharinen on lane 13 from Finland is on 4 strikes in a row. Can strike out for 238, which looks like an okay score. Then we have one Slovenian guy that is in the high 230s on lane 15-16. Good start, solid start. Then I'm be back on in a second. I'm just gonna make a status on the Danes and see how it goes down there. So on lane 1 and 2, we got the Danes and the Swedes. And Andreas Andreasen from Denmark is looking at a 250 game. He got the first in the 10th. And he's looking at 252 if he strikes out, which is gonna be, I think, the high game of the first squad here. Just look. Oh, Puri Paharinen just hit a gutter on lane 13. I didn't even see what happened there. And he got 207, which is 10 pins less than he should have got, but I think he's okay with that. And we got a guy from the Netherlands that's striking quite a lot. He got 4 in a row on lane 19-20, and he's looking at 236 points if he strikes out, which is gonna be, I think, the second highest game here in the first. So you just take a quick look. just got an answer on my Facebook post from Pontus Anderson, which is one of my good friends, and he's saying that all I'm going to talk about today is my glory of my own AUC career, and I played 3 championships here, so I know what it's like to be on the lanes and participate in a championship of this level. And as a lot of you may know, the closer we got to the end of the all events, the more nervous people that actually got a chance is going to be. So I think we're going to see a couple of scores from the Danish guy and the German guy Patrick and Matthias. It's going to be a little bit lower in the start. There's a lot of nerves that's involved here and stuff like that. So I think that in maybe the second, third game, we'll see it opening up a little more to get a little more space on the lanes, and then we'll see a couple of really, really high scores here today. So I think the first 2 games, if you get out with plus 20, plus 30, then it's actually quite a decent score. And then from there, you just have to do a grind and do the high games, because that's when the pattern is opening up and the topography of the lanes is actually really valid. So so that's when you get the space, and that's when you should score high. So the Danish guys on lane 1 and 2 actually got Andreas got the triple and Matthias got the double. So Matthias is looking at 190, which is a decent start for him, considering that he got a chance in all event. There's a lot of nerves, which I talked about earlier, and Andreas got a little more free balling. He's in, but he doesn't have to hunt a score. So Andreas looks really good, and he was really loose the first game, and I actually think he's bowling quite well and doing the right things. So I think we will see a couple of high scores from him in the next 2 games too. They will jump over to lane 21, 22, where there's been a 232 game from an Italian guy, and otherwise it's been 170s on that pair. So I think you have to solve the pair quite quick, and then you have to do decent shots on that pair, because the topography is a little bit different. But I think the Danish coaches and team will solve it quite perfect. They already got scouts out, scout the lanes, so they know exactly what the pair is doing, and I think that they will solve it quite perfect. So the the Swedes got William Svensson on the lanes and Adam Hultgren, and they are actually seated 6th and 7th right now. And Adam had a 2-0 game and William had a 230 game. So from the start, which is a really good score, I think, on the fresh personally. And I think we'll see in the 4th, 5th, and 6th game, as I said before, that the scores will rise quite a lot. And I think we'll see quite a lot of really high games today. Possibly we can see a 300 game, hopefully. That would be quite fun. So Swedish guy just went up with me with some really cool numbers for me personally, and I'm a two-handed bowler myself, so I actually think these numbers is pretty cool. But there's 31 one-handed bowlers in this squad, and there is 15 two-handed bowlers, which is almost a third of the bowlers in the squad that's bowling two-handed, which is pretty amazing, because a couple of years, 3 or 4 years back, we saw that a lot of bowlers bowling one-handed, and we saw a little more two-handers coming up in the youth, and now it's actually kind of taking over, and we're seeing a third of the bowlers here is bowling two-handed. I think that's impressive, and I think that's a really good future of the sport, because we got some really talented bowlers here, and of course some of them is better than others, but I think it's really cool, and I obviously think that some of the players need a little more practice, and they'll do really well in a couple of years, and then we got some really talented bowlers that already today got some pretty cool results. For example, Piri Pihairanen from Finland, at the age of 15, he was participating in the World Series of Bowling, and I actually think he was either closer cashing or cashing in that tournament, which for me is pretty amazing. When you're competing at a level that's that high, then it's a bit different from a EYC. But I think that's pretty cool. And we got Jesse Ahokas from Finland. He was leading the Ballmaster Open qualification this year, which also is an amazing merit to have on. And I think we got, as I said, some really talented two-handed bowlers here. And I also think in the future that we'll see that a lot of them will continue to play on the European Tour and the PBA Tour, and hopefully we'll see a lot of the guys here that also win a couple of tournaments. So now we got the scores up for the first game, and the Danish guy Andreas is leading on 252. Sydney Scrush from Germany is on 239 pins. Then we got a Slovenian guy called Tim, and he's on 238. And then we got a guy from the Netherlands on 236 points. And then a couple of guys on 230, and so on down. So as I said, we already from the get-go, where it should be a little bit harder to make those scores, we already got 236 points in average right now. So if we put that out, we're looking at a pretty decent score here. And as I said earlier, I think the cut is going to be around 1400, 1410 for the boys, because my experience is that it always goes up quite a lot from the doubles, because that's the first, and a lot of people is nervous, and a lot of people it's the first time, and also in the doubles you need to beat two people having a decent score at the same time, and I personally think that this squad, the morning squad, is going to be the high scoring squad today, so I think we'll see at least 3 bowlers or maybe 4 from this squad going in and making the top 4 today. It's going to be pretty cool, but usually it's the morning squad in Aalborg that's playing really well, and as a lot of you may know, that the weather and humidity and stuff like that is having a big impact on how the lanes is playing, and in Aalborg now it's my home center, so the drier the area is and the colder it is, the more space you got, the more the boards on the outside is curving upwards, so it actually creates like a ramp where you can throw the ball out and get it back. That's why usually in Aalborg you never see those kind of scores that we have here, but the pattern combined with the humidity and the weather outside, that it's so cold here and minus, makes it a lot easier than it usually is. And if you look at the scores from the men's championship, I think that's a couple of years ago, but if you look at that score, and that was in the summer where it was really humid and it was quite warm outside, I think that the youth is scoring a bit higher, and of course the pattern was a bit harder on the senior side too. So but I actually think they did a really good job with matching the pattern with the lanes and the scores. If you look back a couple of years when I bought myself on the EYC, the scores is pretty decent here. It's not too high, it's not too low, and it actually got a pretty good average, both for boys and girls, which is really hard, because as you all know, boys and girls bowl a lot different, and usually the girls throw it a little more straight and a little more from the outside, and now we got 15 two-handed bowlers, which hook the ball quite a lot, and that also creates difference in every pair and how people start. So I think you will see the girls' scores is going to be a little bit lower, because they keep a lot to the outside, and the boys open the lane up a little bit more, so they will also get a little more space to strike a little bit more in the end. So Sydney on lane 9 and 10 got 9 spare 4 in a row now, and he was on 239 points from the first game. So he found out something that works, at least on the fresh here. So and as he's a left-hander, he's two-handed, so most likely he will get a lot of fresh oil. So I think we're gonna see a pretty decent score from him today. So as I said, the first game from Matthias Angerdal, now he's on lane 21-22, and his first game was in 1 and 2. You could see on him he was a little bit nervous. There's a lot to play for today. He got a really good chance of taking a medal in the all events, and if he do very well, I think he got a chance of actually making top 4 today. But he got a really nervous start, and he missed a couple of time on lane 1, which was a little bit earlier, and it looked like he missed the speed a little bit on that lane. And right now he's on front 5, so he definitely relaxes a little bit more and throws the ball a little bit better, and he's a little more smooth in the approach. So it looks really good, and I think he's gonna do really well today. So on lane 5 and 6 we got the Swedish team, and William Svensson, also a two-handed guy. He's currently 6th in all events, and he had 230 from the start. Now he's on a decent game. He's a 9 spare double, spare triple, I think, something like that. So he's looking at least a 230, 220 game, and possibly a 250, 260 game. So he got really good from the get-go. It looks like he's throwing a little bit stronger ball, get it to smoothen out a little bit. He's a little bit more to the inside than a couple of the other players. And I think personally there's a lot of players playing a little bit too far to the outside and using the outer boards, which is usually not that smart here. And it also looks like the people that's having a score on the fresh is keeping it a little more tight and they don't use too much angle. They use it a little more forward and roll it a little bit more, so they get the ball to check up. And I think that's why we see Puri Piharonen struggling a little bit on lane 9 and 10, because he was a little bit too deep and he was throwing it a bit too far to the right, and the ball was just hooking and burning, and then the ball never came back. And now he changed ball to a little bit weaker ball, and it gets through the front a little bit more easier, and then he actually get it to turn the corner and get back again. So he's on a double now, and he's looking if he strike out at 236. So on lane 21-22, the Danish team is on, and Matthias had, I think, 6 or 7 strikes in a row, and then what is that? 6 strikes in a row, and then 6 spare. And Andreas is struggling a little bit more. He got a couple of opens in the middle, and now he got 9 spare 9. He's taking a spare shot now, and that's what I said. The pair is a bit tricky, lane 21-22, when it looks like they got Matthias in the right spot, and they got his ball to read a little bit earlier and a little bit smoother. And it looks like Andreas got caught a bit in the middle, but it also looks like he's on the right track. He's doing pretty good. And as I said, I think we'll see quite a big score from Matthias today. Looks like he's pumped up the right level. Looks like the first game he was pumped up a little bit too much, and a couple of nerves was playing in and stuff like that. And now he's in a really good rhythm. You can see he's relaxing. He's doing pretty good, and he got into a rhythm where he takes his time, he takes the shots, and he's gonna continually moving left now. And next time he's gonna hit 17-18, and then he's gonna be in 13-14, which is 2 pairs that's pretty good in the center. Usually you get your scores on the middle sets, so from 11 and 12 to about 22, around there. That's where you usually see the high scores in the center. And the low pairs is usually a little bit lower scoring and playing a little more from the outside, where the pairs to the higher side from 11-12 to 21-22-23, it's playing a little more from the inside, and you get a little more hook to the outside. So that suits some players a lot better, and two-handed bowlers likes to hook the ball, and they like to move left and throw it right and see the ball curve, and I think that's pretty important to notice, and I think that's why Andreas is struggling, because on the lower pairs he could move out and he got the ball read a little bit sooner, and he turned the corner a little bit sharper, and he could stay to the outside a little bit more. And now the ball is burning a little bit, it's hooking a little bit earlier, and he doesn't get it to turn the corner in the same way. And as you see now, he's getting the 2-8, and usually I'll move on a shot like that. If you do a decent shot, would be a little bit to the right or a little bit softer, and I personally think that he should be a little bit softer, and I think he should probably go a little more up the back of the ball instead of so much around it, so he gets the ball to actually read. And right now it just burns up, and if he goes a little more behind the ball, he'll get it to check up, and I don't think to move a little right and be a little slower, and it will be perfect, that pair. So feel free to check in on my Facebook page, and make sure to answer some questions or ask some questions, and I'll try to answer it the best I can. Would be really nice if you guys would guess the card. If you guys got a number out there, you can try to guess it. So now we got the scores in from the second game, and the leader right now is William Svensson from Sweden on 497 pins. That's a 248 average of these two games, which means that I think we'll see quite a big score from him because he's a two-hander. Now the lanes is gonna open up for him, so I think we're gonna see a really high score from William today. And Mike Bergman from Netherlands is on 490, and then Sydney from Germany, the two-handed left-hander, is on 487, which is also a 243 average. And then we got quite a big jump down to Georg from Norway, which is 37 pins lower, and he's on 450 pins. So I still think we'll see quite some big scores today. We see Matthias Angerdahl got 244 last game. There's a Russian guy, he's on 42 over, and Perry is on 32 over. So top 7 right now is on 30 over, and I still think the squad, and it will be quite a high scoring event here. I talked to a couple of people in the ball, and it varies a lot what people think the cut is going to be, and I think my number is quite high, but I also think it's only 4 people that's going to make it, and obviously there's going to be some people we haven't seen during the week that's going to have a really good squad and just improve the score by quite a lot, and then we're going to see the guys that's in the all event maybe have a little bit lower score because they have a lot to ball for today, and then we'll see the people. A lot of people doesn't have a lot to ball for except this event. They're not in qualification for the 24, and they need a really big score to just have a chance to make it. So we'll see a lot of people on the lanes today really relaxed and just bowling their A game and doing what they do best. So I think we'll see the scores will rise quite a bit today. That's my experience of these kind of tournaments. Usually it rises quite a lot for the men. So I think the scores are going to be really high. So now we got a question from Tim Stampe, and he's asking what do I think the cut for top 4 will be, and as I said before, I think the cut is going to be around 1400, maybe a little less, 1390, 1410, but around 1400 plus minus 10. And then we got a really interesting question from him, second one, which is who do I think is going to go all the way and win the all events today. And now been in a situation myself, and I won the all event 2014 in Odense, and so I know how the pressure is building up, which is really hard to say who is going to be the one that got the nerves to take this home. They got a little bit of an advantage in this squad because there's going to be bowlers bowling in the next squad, so we'll probably see the guys be a little more relaxed today. But at least we got the top 3 or 4 bowling right now from the all events, and now I have to come up with an answer. Let me look at the scores a little bit here, and 100% honest, I think that William Svensson is gonna win. Yes, I think William is gonna take it. He's leading right now, and he got a really good look, and as I said before, he's a two-hander, so he's gonna move in, he's gonna get more space. I also think that Matthias Angerdahl is going to do really well in the end games, so he definitely got a chance. He's 61 behind right now from the leader, and then we got a guy from Norway called Gruyten, and he's second right now, 5 pins after William. I have to say I don't think his scores is going to keep improving in the same way as Matthias and William is, because they can go in and they can hook the ball a lot more. But it also depends what pairs you hit and where do the people start on that pairs and stuff like that. So, but I think he should have had the score in the first 3 or 4 games. He's a right-hander, and now I saw him ball in the finals yesterday. Congrats to Team Sweden winning, and Norway on the silver. So, but also my best guess would be that I think that either Puri, William or Matthias Angerdal is gonna win this year's all event. I would love to hear your guesses on who's gonna win the all events. So tune in, comment on my post on Facebook. Tell me. Let's see who's right and who's wrong. Also comment what the score for the top 4 is gonna be. That would be pretty cool. So now the Danes is on lane 17 and 18. Andreas found something really good in this pair. He started with the front 4. Looks like he's a little bit softer on the ball. He moved the parallel in, so he moved a couple of boards in and the target a couple of boards in, and then he's actually just floating the ball in the edge of the oil there. So he got quite a lot of space now, and it looks like he's gonna have quite a big score. On the other side, Matthias he missed a jump in, so he missed transition a little bit now, and it looked like that he tried to overcompensate this shot, and he tried to get a little more around it, and he just turned the corner. So personally, I think that he should jump a couple of boards in, maybe 5-7 boards in, and maybe a couple of boards with the target, because it worked for Andreas, and I also think Matthias is just going to move a little bit in. The third game now, and first time we see quite a lot of transition, and we see a couple of people struggle. So I think that people should get the jump going now. They should move in. They should probably get to a little bit weaker balls so it doesn't burn up in the front. It looked like Matthias changed ball too. and it looks like he turns the corner a little bit more. So I think we'll see a couple of more frames, and then he's going to start striking again because he's on the right path. He's moving left. He's with the right ball. He just needs to take the jump and trust that it's correct that you have to move left. So the Swedes is on 9 and 10, and William Svensson is on 3 in a row, 9 spare strike. So it looks like that he found out something on this pair too, and he's just bowling really, really good right now, and he's making the shots, and now the lane's turning into him. He hit the jump, as I said with Matthias. He missed the transition a little bit and got 7 spare in the open, where William was a little bit quicker, and he got the jump completely right. So he moved in, figured out both lanes, and now we see that he got 999 spare strike, and he's ahead of the game right now. So he's doing moves before it actually happens, and he's doing what he does best, and he's a really talented bowler. I saw him bowl the first time in a junior tournament in Sweden, where he was throwing a plastic ball and almost hooking the whole lane, and I was really impressed of that. And as we see, William is throwing it a lot more from the inside, and he made the jump, as I said. So he's actually moving in and keeping it a little more tight and using that oil in the mid lane. And he's actually getting the ball to stop, which means that he can miss to the inside, and he can also miss a little bit to the outside, because a lot of people started with the balls with a lot of surface, a little bit stronger balls. They created some space to the outside. So right now, I personally think Matthias just have to jump 5, 7 boards in, and maybe to target a couple of boards. Let's see, what did he put back now? I think he actually made the jump now. So even Puri Piharinen, two-handed guy from Finland, playing on lane 5 and 6, he made the jump in. He missed the third ball, and then he realized I have to jump in. I have to make a move now, and now he made the move. So as I said, I think we need to see Matthias make the move now. We need to see him get that jump in, and we need to see him actually make a move. It's quite hard, and but I think we'll see him strike a couple of times now. And now I could see the Danish coaches is standing behind and looking at him, and he made the move. He got in a little bit. He got the ball to check up. So I actually think that was quite impressive. And as you all know, shooting a big game and then you have to chase again. There's a lot of nerves, and he's in the all events. He's looking pretty good right now in the, let me just see that position he's in, but I think it was, yeah, he's in the 3rd position right now, and he knows where the standings are and where he is. So the most important thing right now for him is taking one shot at a time, making the right move, and trusting that he's making the right moves. Then his coaches is telling him the right things to do, because if you do that, I think, as I said, you got a really good chance to events. I think anyone is going to be near William Svensson today. I think we're going to see quite a big score from him, and I think he's going to lead the singles and the all event after this by quite a lot of pins too. So but it's going to be fun to see if anyone can contest him. But the way he's bowling today and the moves he's making and the way he's ahead of everyone else of the game, because standing behind and looking at the lanes, it's pretty easy to see what you should do and what you should not do. But standing on the lanes, being in the pressure of winning all events and making the singles, it's a bit harder to just take a jump on 5-10 boards in, because you don't know what the ball is going to do. You just have to trust it. You just have to trust your stomach feeling of that and just make the move. And today we just see William is bowling so great. So even the shots he's not puring, and he's just missing a little bit in the bottom and stuff like that. Still getting home, and it's not. He gets shakers, he gets a couple of messengers today, but he's just puring every shot today and looking phenomenal. So if you want to see some really good bowling, tune in on lane 9 and 10 and look at William, because look, he missed that one a little bit to the outside, and that's the first time I see his ball burn a little bit. Missed a little bit to the outside, got a little bit unlucky with the 7-10 there, but it's the first time I see his ball burn a little bit and doesn't get through the pins. So yeah, but still think he's doing quite well. He's still moving in. He doesn't miss the pocket, and we'll still see a 230, 240 game from him now. So he's gonna be at 150 over after 3, 140 over after 3. And the Danish guy, Matthias, is doubled now. So it looked like he trusted his move, and he actually got to a point where now he trusts what he does. And I think we're going to see, hopefully he's going to turn out with a lot of strikes in a row now and save the game out to quite a decent game. Because so Georg Skyrten from Norway, that's currently in the 2nd position, 5 pins behind William Svensson in the all events, is having a 225, 226 game around there. He got the double in the 10th, so he just got the count back now. So we'll see him. He's going to be 70, 75 over, 76 over right now after 3. That's still quite a lot up to William Svensson, which is having at least 130, 140 over. So that's quite impressive. And we didn't see that kind of scores before today. So I'm looking forward to follow the 3 last games, because I think that's when we see him in his A game, where he can get in and he can get a little more around the ball. He can throw some weaker balls and get him to turn the corner. And it's going to be really fun to see what the moves of the Swedes is going to be, because looks like right now they're ahead of the game plan, and they're actually doing really good. So the Danish team on lane 17-18, Mathias can strike out for 229 points, and Andreas can strike out for 261. So looks like the Danes is locked in, and now we just have to see them perform the shots, and hopefully they won't leave any single pins left, because I think that's one of the things that could stop. Look like they have a pretty solid look, and as I just mentioned, and Andreas was playing a really good shot and got a solid stone 7-pin. Pretty unlucky. Still a decent game for him. He's in 230, 240 around there, and Mathias is at least in around 200 and strikeout 220. So looks like a solid game again for the Danes. And if you just look here, William Svensson got the double in the 10th, lane 9 and 10. And he also tripled, so he got 225. He's at 142 over after 3 games, and that's I'm not sure about this, but I think that's the highest, one of the highest scores that's been this week on 3 games. So he's, and this is on the fresh, and he has a pretty solid block. Where in the team we usually see that the scores get a little bit higher, because at least on the men's side, because people can get a little bit deeper and curve it a little more around, and they get a little more space the more games that's played. So 472 points on 3 games from the fresh is pretty cool, and that's I would say that's one of the best bowling I've seen all week. So on 17-18, where we have the Danes, they're looking at Andreas got one. He got 210, 208 with a strike here, and Matthias can strike out for 207, I think, something like that. So they are a ground pair, and it's quite a good game considering the start from Matthias, where it looked like he was going to have 170, 180. So get that to 200 is a pretty decent score. This is going to put him around 30 over. It's going to be 30, 40 over. But it's quite a long way to what I think the score and the number is going to be. We're going to get an update on the scores here in a little bit, but I also think that Matthias just got the first net 10th there, and then he's at least 198 pair, plus 8, minus 2, something like that. So we'll see him at plus 30, plus 40, and I still think that's quite okay for him, because as I said, the two-handed bowlers is not usually quite that good on the fresh, and then I just think that the pairs will turn into them. Now he hits a couple of good pairs, Matthias, and I think we're going to see a couple of good scores from him. But he has to move a little bit left. It looks like he found out now, but it's going to be pretty cool. So we got a question from Christopher Sloan and Francois Lavoie, two really good friends of mine and good bowlers. And the question from Chris is who's on fire? And I have to explain that before I answer it. And as you may know, there is a football song called Will Grigg on Fire. And yes, so my shout out right now is going to go to Paul Grigg from Scotland. And in that honor, we're going to walk down and see the Scottish team bowl a little bit and do some commentating on them. And yeah, so to Chris's question, who's on fire? I have to answer, Paul Grigg's on fire. And bowling wise, I think there's only one person in this bowl that's on fire right now, and that's William Svensson. So yeah, he's on fire. The other guys is doing quite well in doing some decent scores, but William Svensson, I think you can tell that he's on fire. He learned something from Paul Grigg. He's yeah. I think we should talk a little bit about the atmosphere here, because that's one of the things I'm most impressed about in the youth matter. That's all the parents and all the singing and all the chatting, and I just love the atmosphere here because it generates such a good culture of bowling here, and people are so happy. You see them showing emotion, and usually bowling is not that kind of sport, and a lot of us not showing that much emotion. And I think the youth here is doing quite well, and they show a lot of emotion, and they're happy to strike, and really sad when they don't, and that's how bowling should be, in my opinion. So as I promised, we're going to do a little bit of commentating on the Scottish team in honor of Paul Grigg. And let me just see here. We got two guys going, and they're doing quite well right now. It's quite a bad shot. We got 3-6 right now, which is not a really good score. But the other guy is having strike, spare, strike. And it looks like, can't really see the scores, but it looks like one of them is on 520 points and the other is on 580. So so not a lot of big scores, but that's, as I talked about, the atmosphere here. The Scottish people is creating quite a good atmosphere, singing a lot, and then I also love the accent they have. Makes everything fun, and they have a really good humor in Scotland, I personally think. So I just had a quick chat with the Swiss coach Rick Vogelsang, and he's the head of the sports school in Malta. And I just asked him if there's any people from Malta we should look out for, and he said the boys is quite young and they just here to learn. They have a little chance, of course, everyone has that, but he said they're mostly here to learn and experience what a EYC is, and in the future we'll probably see a lot of them. And then they got a girl called Sarah Surep, and she's really, really good. I actually seen her ball a couple of times, and I think she's one of the girls you should look out for tomorrow in the singles of the girls. But let's look into that tomorrow. I'll be here commentating the next 2 days too, and of course we have the Masters on Sunday, and then we have the girls singles and the start of the Masters tomorrow. So I think that, and of course the finals of the singles. That's also tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, sorry. So yeah. Let's do a quick update on the scores now. Let me just have a quick look at the singles here. So we got William Svensson on 742, and we got third to fourth place. That's around 100 to 76 over. So we got quite some big scores, as I mentioned before, in this squad, and as I said, for me at least, I think it's right convenient, and it's pretty obvious that we're going to see some high scores. I think the last 3 games is going to turn into quite a strike fest, and let's see. Some people can get caught. Let's do a quick update on the scores here. So we see William Svensson is having open 4 in a row 9 spread double. He's looking if he strike out at 250 again. The Danes is struggling a little bit on that pair, and is looking at Andreas can strike out for 203, and Matthias can strike out for 217. So let me do a quick check on the Norwegian guy. Then we got all the 3 in the top for the all events. So let me just got the standing here. So we got Ukraine guy is in the 3rd place now, and we got the Norwegian guy William and then Matthias on the 4th place, and then we got Puri Parinen on the 5th place, and he actually got quite a good shot together with Mike Bergman. There's not a lot of pins up to the medal. They only got 20 pins for the medal, and then we see quite a jump for the 2 first spots. So we got 2 people competing for the gold and the silver right now, which is Geir from Norway and William Svensson from Sweden, and Geir got around 70 pin to the 3rd place, which is quite a lot in the singles, and then we got one guy in the next squad. You have to look out for him, and let me just put the average on here. So right now on average, it's William Svensson first, Geir from Norway, and then we got Oskar Birefeld from Sweden, and he's actually in the 3rd spot on the average, and that's because he's playing the latest squad today. So they do it on average, but we'll have to see how he does it. But definitely a guy we should look out for. And then we got the Ukraine guy, the Danish guy Matthias, and then we got a guy from Finland called Onni Rikkonen, and definitely also a guy we should look out for. He's probably, but they got quite a lot. We need some strikes from both the Ukraine guy and the Danish guy if they're gonna have a chance to get that bronze medal, or at least go up to silver or gold. They still got the chance, but I think that William Svensson is gonna be really, really hard to touch today, and I think we're gonna see a really, really, really high score from him. And the only thing that limits him right now is a one bad shot and and a single pin. So he's locked in. He knows what he's doing, and we got quite a lot of people here. Let me see. Sydney from Germany, which was in 2nd place before this game, just had 186 points. So he's gonna drop a couple of spots down now. William is gonna lead after this game too. He's gonna be If he strikes out, he's gonna be at 200 over actually. So so William could actually be at 1,000 for 4 games here if he strikes out, makes 3 shots. And I'm just going to do a quick check around the ball, and then I'll do some updates on how the scores is looking and who we should look out for. So we got on lane 1 and 2, actually one of the guys that got a chance in the all events, as I said, the Ukraine guy, Alexander Nepachev. He just had a 300 game, and I think that's the first of the week here. So so we have to congratulate him, and hopefully we can get him in the studio later, and he can explain a little bit more about how it is to ball a 300 game in an EYC. I never did it, so I'm looking forward to hearing that experience and how it is, how was the pressure, and was he nervous, was he shaking? And obviously a guy came up to me and said that I missed it, so I hope you guys tuned in and was a little bit quicker than me. I was a little bit busy with commentating on the Swedes and the Danes here, but I think we're gonna see Alexander climbing up quite a bit now. He was he's gonna be at 122 over with that game, which is gonna put him into top 4, I think, right now. And he just climbed quite a bit for the. He was in 3rd spot for the all event, and William Svensson can strike out for 250. So I have a feeling that he's not gonna catch him, but Gear from Norway. Just watch here how much he got. Oh, Gear shot a high game. He shot 253 this game, so so he's actually doing pretty good. So Alexander is actually only taking like 50 pins on the first seat and the second seat this game, and that's what I said. I think the score is gonna rise for all the two-handers and the guys that got a little more rep rate. Now we saw William Svensson missed a little bit to the inside, and the ball hooked a little bit early and faded out. So so we got 210. So William is gonna look at 220 to 230 with a spare here. So he's gonna be at 160, 170 over. Depends if he spares. Looks like that have a chance. That had a chance, and he spared it. Nice. So William is going to be 175 to 178, 9 over, which is going to put him in 1st spot for the singles here. And then we got Alexandra, which is 920. We got Gira, which is around 922, and then we got Matthias, which is struggling a little bit right now, but we also know that he can strike. If he gets locked in, he can do some really, really high games in the next 2. But he's going to have 190 now. He's going to go to 20 over. So so we need to get him striking if he's going to have a chance in the all events or the singles. So a quick update on the scores here. We got William Svensson leading on 178 over 978 points, and we got second place Mike Bergman from Netherlands at 268. I missed that one. Sorry for that. He's apparently bowling really well. I haven't seen that much of him today, and I'm gonna take a quick look at him. We don't forget anyone, but seen him bowl quite a lot of times, and he's a talented bowler. Now he bowled quite a lot in the European Youth Tour, and also won quite a lot there. Then we got 941 from a Slovenian guy, Tim Sargvenik Musfirovic. I don't know if that's right pronounced, but never seen him bowl before. Apparently he's doing quite well. He just had a 289 game and it's 141 over 941. And then we got Geir from Norway, which is as I said 920, and we got Alexander Nepatchev from Ukraine on 922. So that's the single standings, and as I said before, I think the cut will be around 1390, 1400, 1410. So 1400 plus minus 10. And also see we got a lot of great questions from a lot of guys in here, and we start with Christopher Sloan, and he asked me, how did you get this job? And that's because that quite awesome. I commentated the men's championships up here, and apparently did really well, so they offered me the job this time again for the last 3 days. And I think I know what Chris is referring to, because usually I say a lot of stuff that's pretty cool, and I think that's why I'm on the commentary this year. So and he put down 3 questions, Chris, so I'm gonna try to answer all of them. And he got some questions that's not about bowling, but I'll try to answer it anyway, as I promised, the best I can. We said, who's better looking, Francois or Lovvang, myself? And we got 2 good bowlers, and it's pretty funny on the PBA tour. We got a couple of guys, and we always trying to look the best, and we always trying to be the one with the best style and best fashion on. But I have to say here that I can't really choose between Francois and Chris, because they're so different types. I have to say that I think Chris's style is pretty cool, pretty similar to my own, and he's a good-looking guy. Both of them is really good-looking. And then the next question, he said, would you say you know some of the Swedish and Danish participants very well? And I know what he's referring to here, but I'm going to try to answer it anyway. And yes, I know a couple of the players here, and I interact with them, and some of them is actually my quite good friends. And I think a lot of people here is quite young now. I'm getting older, but a lot of the bowlers here is the age where I bowled with them. And of course you have a good relationship with a lot of bowlers here, and that's I think it's pretty cool, and hopefully we can get some of the guys on the interview list later on, so you can hear what they have to say, and we can get a little more personal with them, and ask them a couple of questions that's not about bowling, and see if we can get a little bit under the skin. How is it to be at a EYC, the social game of it, and how does it affect you and stuff like that. So that was one of the things that affected me quite a lot when I was bowling the EYC, was all the social work, and you have to do a lot of interviews, and you have to be prepared for everything that happens, and there's a schedule you have to follow, and you don't get a lot of free time, but the free time you get you have to use properly, and you have to spend it in the right way, as you say. So I think a lot of them is they have the free time, and they enjoy themselves, and a lot of them is really good. And I think they have a lot of fun here. At least I did when I bowled. Then we got a question from Callum Cloak, and he asked me, are you a dart expert too? And I would say I like watching dart. It's got a really good atmosphere. I think that that bowling should change in a matter of fact, where we get the sport and we actually change the game as a full game, so we don't bowl 10 frames, but we actually only bowl like maybe 2 or 3 frames, and then it's match play all the time. That's what I think would be really cool and really cool to watch. Now I like that the EYCs is so pumped up, and there's a lot of parents cheering and stuff like that. But I think that we can get a lot of players and a lot of fun matches if the game was a little bit shorter and in the way that darts do. And I know why he refers to it, because darts is really fun to watch, and it's where you can't really go wrong of darts, and everybody understands it, and it's the crowd is cheering, and that's why I like the EYC so much, because all the parents is cheering, and the atmosphere, as I talked about earlier, is so good here. So that's why I like it. So last question here from Christopher Sloan. Was the Bowling Alsa Open your favorite memory of your career? And now I have quite a lot of memories, but I think bowling the Alsa Open is one of the memories I'll never forget in my life. And the hospitality of the country in Ireland is so great, and I think that everyone should experience the Irish Open and the Alsa Open. Mainly the Alsa Open, I think, because I think that tournament, Mark, that got the bowling centre, is doing so great, and he's inviting bowlers in and he's helping them in the way he can, and he's so nice and so good with everyone. The Irish Open is kind of the same. It's so nice to everyone. They do a good job running the tournament, and yeah, so I think that everyone that got a chance, and if you're a youth bowler, try to go to Ireland, because the scores is a little bit higher, but it's also a bit easier, so you won't get the tournaments like Euro Challenge, Ballmasters, and where the squats is really expensive, where Ireland is a little bit smaller tournament, and so it's pretty cool for a lot of young people, and it's match play down there, so a lot of people get better to that, and yeah, so I think that's definitely something you should experience. Then we got a comment from Selwyn Morgan, and Selwyn is one of the guys I saw on the European tour, and he's a really cool guy, and made a couple of cards. And Selwyn is one of the coolest guys I know, and I couldn't believe his age when he first told me. He's a really he got some young genes, as you say. He's a good-looking guy, but he says Curtis Hooper, one of England's coaches, is a really interesting person. And my plan for today is that I both get Hadley Morgan and Curtis into the studio, and I would like if you guys would put down some questions that you would like an answer to. Is it more bowling based? Is it more what is the preparation for a tournament, or what would you like to know about him? So back to the bowling again. Thanks for all the questions to Chris, Colin, Selwyn, and Tim. Just keep them coming. We got the Slovenian guy down here, which is he's on 941, and he's on front 7 right now, and he just leave the 10 pin. But that means that he's gonna be around 240 at least this game. He's probably gonna be more around. Probably gonna be around 1200 for 5 when this game is over, and probably a plus a little bit. And William Svensson on lane. Let me see here, 17-18 is. You got 9 spare 4 in a row, spare. So William is looking at 220 right now, which is pretty decent with the score he has. So he's gonna land at round. Depends if he strikes out or not, but he's gonna land it at 12. 12:20, 12:10, 12:30, something like that. So I think we'll see William leading after this game, the Slovenian guy second. And let me just do a quick update on the guy from the Netherlands and the guy from Ukraine. So in about a couple of minutes here, I'm gonna get one of the boys gold medalist in the team, Lucas Sevelin, and he also took I think a silver in the doubles. So we're gonna put a question on to him, and what I'm expecting from him is that we're gonna do a little more kind of talking of the social life of the EYC. Now we got a lot of questions that's not about bowling, so now we're gonna get an inside opinion from him on how is the social life. What do you use your evenings on? How does everything work at the EYC? What is the schedule? What is the plan? How did you prepare? How much did you train? All that kind of stuff. So we're gonna leave the bowling, the medals, what kind of balls and all that kind of stuff a little bit outside, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the personal life and how that worked. So when I will be back on, I'll be back on with Lucas, and I'll introduce him, and we'll start on with the questions.
Hann búinn að færa aðeins. Hann bara þetta búinn aftur tilbaka. Já. Ok. Það alltaf það vekkur þá alltaf meira olíunni. Það held að sé alla bara halda sig utan lengur. Gils fólk vandri samtal. Eru þið aldrei með linsu? Hvernig ertu á glerum? Nei, hættu. Gera mikið lúki, sko. Já.
So we're back on now, and I got Lucas Sevelin with me. Congratulations with the goal. That was pretty cool yesterday.
Thank you so much.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about what is the game plan and a little bit about what is the social life of an event as a EYC. So let's start out. What do you spend your evenings with when you're done bowling and winning, apparently?
Just trying to know other countries and like be a part of this whole gathering and the whole social life experience and stuff like that, and just get to know others and try to know what other things about things and how they are going through this with the social life and stuff like that, and just be with others, get to know others.
Cool. That's so cool. That's exactly the same as when I bowl the European events. It's so cool, and I like socializing and playing cards in the evening and stuff like that. So now one of your really good friends, William, got a really good chance to make it here.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going through his mind right now? Is he nervous? Is he?
Nah, he's not nervous now. I think it was in the beginning. Like he said, like I'm always nervous in the beginning, but then it's getting cooler and cooler every frame that I'm throwing. But now he's just staying focused and just try to do what he can best, and that's striking. And as we see now, he has 12 high. I don't see 1280, 1290 or something, and that's really good. So I just think that he will just focus and just be relaxed.
Completely true. That's about the same as I said earlier on. William is really in the zone today. He's hot, so he's throwing the ball so well. Yeah. Let's watch the scores here. We just got it up from a team member, and we got Alexandra Nepachev from Ukraine. He just had a 300 game and a 260 game, apparently. 265 he must have had, so that's pretty cool. Geir Skryten from Norway is second, and then William Svensson on the third place. And all of them is in between 5 pins, which is pretty amazing. So let's get Lucas to comment on who he thinks is going to win. win this all-event medal?
William.
William. Easy.
Easy.
That's a cool answer. My suggestion before, or my guess before they even started bowling was William is gonna win, and he's pretty good, and he knows what he's doing now. And as Lucas said, he's pretty calm, and he was probably a little bit nervous in the start, and now he's locked in, and we all know he's gonna put on a good game. This game is gonna be about who's gonna strike the most.
Yeah, he is so experienced, and when it comes to the end, he's always doing well when you have to. So
yeah,
that's why.
Cool. So let's get into that a little bit later. So what is your expectations of this next block? You're bowling at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So how do you expect you to bowl, and what is the game plan?
My game plan is just bowl pretty straight and pretty hard from the beginning. Just try to hit the pocket as much as in the beginning, because I know that the scores will lighten up in the end of the blocks, like in game 3, 4, 5, 6. So just have patience and just throw the ball good and spare up, and yeah, just hit the pocket as many times as possible, and just try to do good shots every time, and then we will see how my carry is.
Yeah. I heard that a couple of times this week with the carry.
Yeah.
It's been an issue for a lot of people, because it's quite easy to get to the pocket, but getting 10 pins down is pretty hard. Can you explain a little bit more about that? What have you been struggling with? And
I've been struggling with the 4 pin and 10 pin, because my ball is reading too early, or it's reading too early and then not having the finish to get a strike.
yeah.
So, and if you go to a shinier ball, then it will be hooking too much in a small distance. So you will stand the 9 pin every time. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to get the solution for striking, like the recipe for striking. So I really know, just try to bowl it simple and always try to have the ball in front of you. I think that's the main clue.
Yeah. And now we see that William Svensson is on lane 21, 22 here. And I'm just going to comment on this one because I know the center so well, that lane 22 is usually a little bit earlier, and the ball burns a little bit, and that's why we saw William's ball was not making the corner, so he 2-8-10. So usually on that lane you were a little bit softer, a little bit more down on the lane to get it to actually shift to the first part of the lane, and then the ball can turn back strongly. And he pured it on lane 21. So Lucas, have you had a lot of difference on pair to pair and end to end, or is it pretty similar?
I think it's a huge difference between pair to pair actually, and lanes to lanes. Yesterday when we were in the finals, I think it was 1920 when we played the finals.
Yeah.
I stand 9 boards left on the lane 20 of the 19 with the same ball, because the lane 20 was hooking so much earlier.
Wow.
And didn't have that what you say.
No, but that's also what I've been seeing a lot, and I've been commentating on quite a couple of times here, is that we see this early hook when the ball just doesn't make the corner and come back from the angles,
Yeah.
and then you get the 2 pin a couple of times, and if it doesn't make a move, usually if you get a 2 pin you would move a couple of boards to the right, but in this center it's really hard to move right, because that's where all the people has been bowling.
Yeah.
When the ball just hooks even earlier, and it just burns even more, or goes to the nose and hooks too early. So that's what I said earlier today, that I think people should not miss the jump. They should try to hit transition, and usually it's the end of the second game, start third game, that the jump is coming.
Yeah.
And obviously the Swedes hit it perfectly today, and William was great. He hit it perfect. We saw Mathias Ankerdal from Denmark. He missed the jump and got a 190 game. So how do you do it? Do you have any guidelines, or you just feel it and look at your ball and then move from there?
I'm always like, when we was in the teams, I was moving 1.5 board every time I went to, like, so when I was playing the ball on the lane 20, I was moving 1.5 board left on lane 19, and then I was standing still on the lane 20, and then was moving 1.5 ball on the 19 if they was the similar.
Yeah. So you were ahead of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that we were striking more yesterday, and we were shooting 920 and 950 in the semi and the finals.
Yeah.
And then we are really hard to beat. So we have a good communication and a good look on the transition. So
Now you say communication. So a lot of team, this discipline is single is not too much communication. That's more individual, and the next couple of days is going to be individual. But can you put some words on how you communicate? Is there any preparation up to a tournament where you talk a lot about stuff and know what to say, when to say it, and not to say some things and stuff like that? Or do you just know each other that well that you bowl so much together that you just...
I think in this team we have bowled so much together. I mean, me and William, we have lived together for 2 years in the bowling academy in Nässjö.
Yeah.
And Oscar too, and Adam has been on the tour for like 10 years or something, so we know each other really good.
Nice.
So we're just looking on each other's balls and seeing what they're doing, and so if I say like, moved one ball, then this dude that. And then I said that to Adam, that was next up, and then he says like, yeah, I can move this, what do you think about that? So we're always having a communication with the one who's going to next. So I think that's really important. I think that is the main thing that we actually did so high yesterday, because the other teams were on us until the 6, 7, 8 frame, and then we were striking out.
Yeah.
And they were not. So, and now in the singles, I think it's just look what the ball does and look what other balls does, and just do a you can never know, you have to do a guess what's happening. And then we're always having a communication with the coach, and we're always telling each other what we're thinking, and then we're going to a solution.
So I noticed you have a scout that's scouting the lanes, the
Yeah.
pairs you're going on to, and also the Danish team is doing it, and we were doing it when I was bowling.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a huge help, because
Yeah.
then you know what kind of balls has been thrown before in this lane, or why does my ball hook at this spot, why doesn't it hook at that lane. And now we can see William, he made that one shot on that lane, and then he made a move on it, and now he got the double.
Yeah.
So and that's what I think is so impressive about the bowlers here in such a young age, that they can actually make those moves ahead of the game, because usually we see that bowlers make a shot and they get a 10 pin or a washout, and then they make a move of that. So but what is your plans from now? Is it you're gonna bowl down here and then a couple of EBTs? And I know you bowl with Team Clan in the best division in Sweden, so obviously you bowl quite a lot and you go into the bowling gymnasium. But any PBA stops, any EBT stops that you're looking forward to bowling? Or
I really know the future actually, but hopefully I will play some EBTs and some PBA in the future. My goal is that when I'm 20, 21, I do my first PBA stop, and before that doing some EBTs and playing some bigger tournaments and play league and stuff like that, and go out and play in the world, because I think that's pretty important of my career, because you learn so much than just playing regular patterns at home.
yeah,
So I think that's the plan.
cool. Sounds really smart, and that's also my path when I bowled. That the more tournaments you go to, or of the higher caliber tournaments, the better you will get. And this will feel like next year when you go to a lot of EBTs, you'll be more sure. And when you're in this situation next year where you have to strike out to win and stuff like that, you know exactly what to do and calm yourself down. So how is it looking with sponsors now? I see a couple of young guys down here that have sponsorships, and is with Brunswick and is with Columbia and a couple of companies. So any offers yet on bowling balls? And
No, not any actually. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, I'll get something after this. That would be so cool. I haven't got any actually, but we will see what happens. It's hard to get a sponsorship nowadays because there's so many great bowlers. But hopefully something a little. That would be so cool.
Yeah. So as you said, there's a lot of good bowlers today, and a lot of the contracts is coming from the States, and not so many in Europe. But I think the company should definitely look into some of you young guys, because you really generate some value for them. And having represented your company at a European Championships is quite big, and Brunswick is doing quite well with the young people. Signing Puri is on staff, I know, and I know that William is on Brunswick staff. Megan from Denmark, so
Andreas
from Denmark. So they got signings in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Germany. So it looks like they took it in and said, okay, we're going to participate with the young people and try to make them good with our brand, and then they're going to stick with us in the future. Where some of the other companies, it looks like they are signing not so many young bowlers in Europe, and signing a little bit older bowlers that already got a career and already are there. Yeah. So thank you for your time. That was so cool to get you in the studio before your squad. That's not often in the 5th game you can get a high-class bowler in an interview here. So I'm just gonna wish Lucas the best of luck in his squad now, and it was so nice to have you on with the commentary with me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So William Svensson on lane 21-22 is on strike open 4 in a row now, and he's on 12-03. So as I said, we're going to see a really decent score from William today, and it's quite cool in the all events now. It's pretty close, and top 3 is between 5 pins. So we're going to look a little bit more into that when they get to the 8th or 9th frame, and I'm just going to take a quick look around and see how it is between Georg and William and the Ukraine guy, and see if there's any other that's close on it. So as some of you may know now, the scores is down on the live stream. So I'm just gonna go around and give a quick update on how it's looking. And William is on 5 in a row now. And we're gonna look at the competitors. There's one guy from Ukraine and one from Norway that was in between 5 pins before this game. Let's take a quick look at how it looks. So Geir Skryten from Norway is on 8 spare 8 in a row now. So Geir is looking at winning the all events right now. So Alexander Napachev from Ukraine had strike spare, double spare, 9 miss, 9 miss. So he's competing for the bronze right now, where William and Geir Skryten is competing for the gold. Let's see, Geir is in his 10th frame now, and if he striked out here, of course there's a squat next squat, so we have to look to score from there. Geir will lead the all event if he strikes out here, and Geir got the 4 pin. And let's take a look at the scores here. We have to walk down and see William score, because they were in between 5 pins before this game, and William Svensson can strike out for 260 something. So I think if Geir spares here, he's gonna be a 269 if he spare strikes, and William can strike out for 260. Let me just watch that. William can strike out for 268. So we got quite a close match here, and so let's see here, Geir. So Geir got a 9 spare here. So I think that Geir will lead this squad no matter what happens. I think he was a little bit ahead before the squad. Let me just watch the scores here, because this is quite interesting. So there's 3 pins before this game between Geir and William. So we need if William is gonna have a chance to win, Geir needs to have 5 pins or something like that, and Geir strikes. So we will have Geir in the first seed. Geir in the all events here, he's gonna lead the all events after this squat, if my calculations is not wrong, and he did a really decent score. That's most likely gonna make the top 4 of the singles event too, and I think we will have William Svensson seated second in both the all event or the all events and singles. Let me just watch the single scores here. So William Svensson was leading before this. Then we have Mike Bergman. That's actually quite interesting here, because Geir was on 269, so he's on 1430. And I think William is gonna go to 1460 with strikes out, and so we'll see some massive scores here, which I would say is a pretty good prediction of me. to hit this squat, and we at least got a couple of 1400s going, and maybe more than a couple, which is pretty cool, and I like it. I think it's cool to see that the young bowlers can score so high. That's pretty cool. So we got William is on. William has striked since the second frame, and he can strike out for 268, which is gonna be he's gonna be at at least 250 over, so 1450, 1440, something like that, and then he's gonna be second in the all event before the last squat is going. So it's pretty close, a pretty cool ending of it, and I also think they'll make it quite safely. I'm just gonna take a quick look at the guys from the Netherlands and Slovenia. The Ukraine guy was looking at a 180 game with spares, so I think I don't think he's gonna make it here. He might have a chance in the all events, but I don't think he's gonna make the singles finals here. Yeah, so Alexander Nepachev with spare has 175 around there, and just look. Let me just see where the guys from the Netherlands is. So on 15-16, we got the two guys from the Netherlands, and Mike Bergman is looking at a 190 game here, so he doubled, so he's gonna be at 1390. That might be enough to make it. Let's take a quick look if I can find the Slovenian guy and see what he has. He had 1193 before this game, and had 289, 252 the last two games. So it definitely looked like he was locked in. Let's take a quick look. I'll be up in a second. So the Slovenian guy was on front 6, 9's best strike spare, so he's looking at 240, 250. So we got 3 scores. That's 14 something from William, 1430 from Geir Skryten, and then we got up to a 1452 from Tim from Slovenia. So that's some pretty high scores here, and I also think my prediction is pretty good about the scores. I think the prediction will be a little bit low with my 1410, but we'll never know. And I think the cut is gonna be around there after the first squat. Wow. Okay, so William got 7, which is he should still be. He's gonna be at 1448, which is gonna put him in around second spot for this, and then. So we got Tim Sevenik from Slovenia, and he's gonna have to score 1441, which is gonna put him either in first spot or second spot. Because let's watch here if William spares it. William spares it, so William is gonna be the first seed, and Tim Sevenik is gonna be second seed before the last squat, and then we got Geir from Norway. That's gonna be he's gonna be third seeded before the last squat, and then we'll have to watch the scores. I don't know who's in the fourth right now. Alexander Nepachev from Ukraine just had a 163 game. So he's only at 1340. And let me just take a quick look around to see if there's any scores that I missed or that I have to update on. So, if this is some unofficial scores that I got here, but I think we got Gearskritten from, or sorry, William Svensson in the first spot, and then we got Tim Sevenek from Slovenia in the third spot, and then we got Gearskritten from Norway in the fourth, and then we got Mike Bergman from Holland in or Netherlands from on 1393 on the first spot or the fourth spot. So so I think my predictions of a 1400 plus minus 10 is pretty okay right now. Let's see if anyone is gonna pass these scores in the second squad. Please comment on my Facebook post if you have any questions, anything I have to answer, and then be quite cool. And I'll try to answer the best I can. I'll try to get some of the people that shot a score here, get a couple of comments from them, and we'll be live on in some minutes here. I'll end it off with the scores when I get some official scores here, and let me just watch if something came in already. So right now we're waiting on lane breakdown on lane 3 and 4, but we already got the unofficial scores up. That, as I said, William is going to lead the singles. Then we're going to have the Slovenian guy Tim on the second place, and we're going to have Gear from Norway on third, and then we're going to have Mike Bergman on fourth. Right now, that's the current standing, and in the all events, Gear Scruton, the unofficial results, but Gear Scruton is leading, and then we got William Svensson in second right now. Alexander and Apache have had a 160 game, so it doesn't look like he's gonna medal, but it's gonna be quite fun to watch. I'm gonna do a quick update on the all events when we're back. We're gonna close down soon. There's a couple of frames back, and then we'll be back on at 1 o'clock again. A quick update again. We're hoping to have an interview ready at 1 o'clock, and we'll see who's going to be in the studio. But I'm trying to get Curtis Hooper and Hadley Morgan in the studio. Let's see if they're up for that. But I think we got an interview here. So I'll try that, and I'll be back on at 1 o'clock again. And I'm looking forward to the second squad of the boys event. It's going to be pretty cool to follow.
His ball's the last one.